All right, what is up, guys? Welcome to episode 7 of Puck Rock Rangers. I'm Stefan. This is Palmer. We got a lot to get into, so let's talk about it. All right, guys, so before we get into everything, we always like to brief you on what's been going on in our lives. I personally have had a lot going on. All good things, nothing too crazy. Recently, I went to my first metal show in a long time. It's hard to get out, having a family and kids and all that. And we went to go see a band that was in town from Japan. Their name is Sabbath. It's a black metal band. They ripped. It was sick, and I had a good time there as well. Other than that, working a little bit, kids, family life, and watching a whole lot of hockey. That about sums it up for what's been going on. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't catch that show. I saw that you guys went. Shout out to Battlemaster. That's probably Richmond's finest blackened death metal band. They keep it fun too because they kind of goof off with it. But yeah, good band. I've been busy, taking trips, going on hikes, back-to-back weekends, going on like 9-mile hikes my wife drags me on, which is great, but at the same time, wears you out a little bit. Working, did a work trip, went out to Roanoke, met some people. I work alone for the most part of a team with some other folks, so it was good to kind of get some face time there. And just working on some projects internally. Hard Facts is doing its thing. Got another band called Coded, trying to get that off the ground, and just living life, watching hockey, enjoying things. It's been a while since you heard from us. We had to skip an episode. We had it planned, and there was some sickness that got in the way. There was some Mets postseason baseball that got in the way. Just a couple scheduling things that knocked us out. But we're back. We're here. We're three games in, and we're ready to chop it up. So stoked to be back.
Yeah, I mean, we were set to record. Papa Bear was in town, and he's the man who made us Rangers fans. So we decided to go to Kickback Jack's for dinner instead. Unintentional conflict, but we were gonna, we knew we'd get back to you guys eventually, but we couldn't, not hang out with our dad. And actually, the Rangers played too, so it was a fun time. And
it was good to see. I was just gonna say, good to see Pops. Shout out Pops. I mean. We can literally thank him for this pod because if it wasn't for him and our mom, I'll let y'all do the math there, but we wouldn't be here. And just shout out Pop. So thanks.
Yep, for sure. Before we get to talking about hockey, because there's a lot to unpack here, we want to remind our viewers to please like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell your mom, tell your friends, tell everybody about it. We're trying to get some exposure here, and yeah, it's the middle of the season. And there's a lot happening, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We try to have a much looser take on, we just try to have like a much more friendly, fun, loose take on what's going on with the New York Rangers. A lot of very formal sit downs. We like to leave it a little bit less formal. So, tell a friend to tell a friend. And with that being said, do you want to talk about some hockey?
Yeah, let's get right into it. The boys open up this season in Pittsburgh at the Retirement Center against the Penguins. And I mean, what else can you say, man? They smacked them 6-0. Didn't expect that. I did kind of expect the win. Didn't expect a 6-0 drubbing, but I will take it. And I'm trying to remember the sequence of events during the game. Good to see Panarin score 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got 7 points. He's red hot. Kreider's starting off hot. Just happy to see it. What do you think? Oh, Laffy scored.
Lafreniere.
Everyone predicted Sam Carrick would score the first one of the season.
Hedl had a goal that game.
Hedl scored. So, I mean, almost everything you wanted to happen. I mean, it can't be like everyone gets a goal every single game, obviously, but a lot of the things you want to happen did happen.
No, that game was a sweet, sweet victory because if you know me and Palmer, we don't like the Penguins at all. And watching them get smashed 6-0 in their home opening game, I don't know. It was a beautiful thing, and it would have sucked for us to lose that game just because I do kind of throw shade at Penguins and the Penguins fan base a little bit. And I didn't want to give anybody ammunition, and the Rangers had our backs. They did not allow the Penguins fans to come at me in any types of ways.
Oh,
so
I mean, let's be frank. If the Penguins won that game, that would be a real kick in the dick. Not that they can't win against us, but opening night, first game of the season, the Rangers, it is what it is. The Penguins have had their success in the past, but as it stands right now, the Rangers are just a superior team. They took care of business, TCOB.
Yeah, it was a very dominant performance. It was nice that we kind of picked up where we left off last season. I know the playoffs was a bit of a letdown. Well, at least the Eastern Conference Final was a bit of a letdown, but I'm starting to see a trend in the games, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, it was good to see them generating some 5-on-5 offense, because if I recall correctly, they didn't have a single power play goal in that game, did they?
No, it was. I think it was all 5-on-5, and another thing was all 4 lines got on the board, which is good to see. So it wasn't one line carrying the. I mean, Carrick scored the first one, then and it could have been. There could have been potentially. Oh, I'm thinking of Utah game. There could have been more goals. Ugh. So we'll get to that. But yeah, just a solid effort from the boys. The good guys won, and that's what you want to see. Against teams that frankly just aren't there yet. Or were there and are past their time.
Yeah, it was sweet. And then lo and behold, hold on.
Oh, Jim Leahy's calling you.
Leahy. So yeah, that's my father-in-law. Yeah. We call him Jim Leahy because you've seen Trailer Park Boys. You know what's up.
If you know, you know.
But actually, he's doing very good in life. So
good.
Can't.
Well, Jim Leahy has his peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah, so he's at a peak right now. He's off the wagon.
He's off the liquor right now.
But I think he means business this time, so that's always a good thing to see.
That is. Shout out Todd.
Todd is the man.
Awesome,
he's the man, the myth, the legend. So if you ever get a chance to see him, you'll stay tuned to some of our stuff on TikTok, because every once in a while I'll throw him in there. So get his hot take on Igor Shesterkin.
We got to get a video of him asleep in front of the TV during the game when we're all huddled up.
Yeah, it's like as soon as Todd hits the surface, you guys are gonna watch for him instead of us. He's that type of guy. So, so let's talk about this Utah game. We had a wonderful experience with Pittsburgh, and then we move into Utah. And me and Palmer have somewhat different takes on this game. My eye test showed me something a little different than what his eye test showed him. So what was your opinion on the game? Like,
my opinion, it was very disjointed. Defense was sloppy, about as sloppy as a hooker's lipstick. Just a disjointed effort, and I think the disagreement Stefan and I had over the text thread was just, I think Stefan was saying that the offense, or that the Rangers kind of dictated offensively. I think we chased the game. I think Laviolette said that after the game too. Not trying to prove my point. I'm just saying that to me it looked like they chased the game. Again, similar to the Penguins, a team that the Rangers, at least on paper, I know the season starts and everyone's got a chance, but the Rangers are better. That's the Coyotes. It is the Utah Hockey Club, but it's the Coyotes. It's the same players that sucked it up last season. So you'd expect the Rangers to kind of to win. You'd want them to win the home opener. Didn't happen. And then we'll get into that the Mika debacle there at the end. But what did you observe?
I'm gonna, until they pick a real name, I'm gonna call them the Utah Storm and Mormons. Excuse me.
I'm gonna call them the Utah Polygamists.
Yeah, I like that. So until they pick a real name, that's what we're going with. So if you ever hear me talking about the Mormons, it has nothing to do with religion and everything to do with hockey. I do think that offensively the team looked good. Defensively, the team looked like ass. You don't score 5 goals in a game if your offense isn't doing something. And yes, we did chase the game the whole time. However, if our defense was on point, we wouldn't have had to chase the game. I just think that if you were to ask the Utah fans what they thought about the performance, they would probably say the same exact thing. The offense was good, the defense wasn't, because they also got 5 goals scored against them. So they're probably sitting here in the same shoes. They just so happened to catch us with our pants down in overtime.
Yeah.
But
It gave me flashbacks of the Devils series from a couple years ago, where the Rangers lost in round one. And the reason I say that is the Rangers, in games 1 and 2, kind of established their game and got away from it, and then the rest of the series was really run and gun. And the Rangers can play that way. They showed that. I mean, a couple bounces and things here or there, the Rangers win that game. So they can play the run and gun, but I think it behooves them to kind of dictate. That's how they like to play. That's how Nixon likes to coach. He wants to dictate the play, and they just didn't do that. Offense obviously looked good. I mean, they didn't get shelled. They hung right in there. They forced overtime or tied it up, forced overtime, and like I said, a couple little things, mistakes here or there go differently. They could have won the game. So wasn't disgusted. That game also showed the duality of Ranger fans, because you have Igor posting the shutout and all the Igor guys like, oh, you got to give him $15 million and give him whatever he wants, and how could you not? And then he lets a couple in, and probably the same people, but you got the anti-Igor crowd now. How could you pay that guy? Get rid of him. Send Igor to the moon. Kind of the same thing with Trouba. Stefan knows this. I'm the head of the Trouba fan club. Trouba played a great game 1, shit game 2. I think I texted the thread. I was watching the game actually coming back from a hike in the mountains. So spotty reception. Couldn't see everything, but I did see, I think it was the first goal right off the rip. Where the hell is Trouba? Trouba's in space. Like, Miller's got his guy, and I'm looking at like the slot, and Trouba was nowhere. So that was disappointing. Utah, shout out to them. I think they're going to surprise some people, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, just a good game, a fun game. It's good to see some fights. Good to see Edstrom bloody some dude up.
Oh, man.
Did you notice brutal. He had one glove on still?
Oh,
during
yeah.
the fight?
He beat the dude up with one hand. One-handed.
One-handed. With one hand behind my back.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. I hate that stupid rule of secondary fighters get ejected for the game. That's
garbage.
Fucking bullshit. But yeah, great game, exciting, and you want the boys to win, but they still got a point. And what else do you have to say about that?
This game was direct karma, specifically direct karma towards me, because the night before, that was a back-to-back for Utah. The night before, they played the Aswinders.
I know where you're going.
And it was the exact same outcome. They went into overtime and then lost.
Well, and
it was the same score too, right? 6-5.
I think so. And
it was a comeback from the Islanders. I think.
I didn't see that game. I can't.
All I know is that the score was the same outcome. It was a 6-5 loss in overtime. So I go on my Facebook and I'm like, ha ha ha! I just watched the Islanders get their souls ripped out by a team without a name. Blah blah blah. So the very next night, what do? They get us. They blacken my eye. So it was karma.
And there was a meme going around, and the meme could only last so long, obviously, but it was like teams that have lost to Utah, and it was Chicago, and then the next day you see the Islanders got added to it. Then the next day you see the Rangers got added. And shout out Chase. Of course, my buddy Chase sends me a DM with that picture. He's like, had to do it. So Chase is a Canes fan. So
okay.
We'll get him back later in the playoffs.
I saw a meme. It was the Utah logo, but it said Hockey Tua Club instead of. I thought that was kind of funny.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
It's very, very on point. But yeah, other than that, I got shut the hell up, and when sometimes I need to be humbled, and Utah definitely did that to me. But besides that, do you have anything else on that specific game?
I'm trying to think. It was definitely an entertaining game.
Very
good to see a couple fights. The first game was a little sleepy considering it was against Pittsburgh. You'd expect a little bit more thump to it, but I think once a team goes down, the other team is not going to engage. So that's kind of expected. But yeah, just a good, exciting game, and that brings us to last night's affair.
Detroit.
The game against Detroit, and I think. We've gotten a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the first two games, and then I think we got what we wanted in game 3. Second period wasn't great, but first period, third period, the boys did what they needed to do, scored some timely goals. Lafreniere stays hot. Kreider stays hot. Breadman stays hot. I have no complaints.
Yeah, that second period, the Igor gets 12 million people were were championing their case. So without Igor being such a dominant goalie, that second period, the score could have easily been like 5-1. That there was a 15-minute period where it was all Red Wings. The Rangers barely even touched the puck. It was 15 minutes of solid defense, and no offensive pressure, no offensive zone time. The last 5 minutes of that period, they kind of found their game back a little bit and they turned things around. But yeah, there was a brutal moment in that game, and I think Detroit really showed that they mean business. They're here to play, and you know it's hard for me. I can't really talk crap about Detroit because I like Detroit.
I do too.
I'm like a low key like Detroit. You know, I don't hate them. I don't love them, but I don't hate them. There's
for sure.
A lot of teams in the league that I dislike more than Detroit.
I'm in the same boat. Shout out Detroit Red Wings. I fucks with y'all.
Yeah,
I'll root for you guys in certain situations.
Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, I think the Rangers held it down. They came back in the third. They played a good game, and Mika Zibanejad. That's what I'm gonna call him. Mika Zibanejad.
He woke up. He looked a lot better.
He looked good. He had a 3-point game. So even though he got deuced in the or he got blanked in the first 2 games, he's still a point per game player as of right now.
he did even it back out.
Yeah, he evened it out because
there's all these ridiculous stats that go around early in the season because the numbers are so ridiculous in some ways that like memes that won't last long and won't age well, but they last for a couple of days because of certain situations.
I mean, that's just in Mika's DNA. He's very streaky. He'll be nowhere, and then he'll be everywhere. And even though his goal was an empty netter, 3 points is 3 points, and he did look much better. And I think he really needed that because the first 2 games, like where was he? Did you notice him? Really wasn't. He was pretty invisible. So it was.
That whole line looked pretty good. I mean, shout out Riley Smith. Welcome to New York.
We talk about that goal.
What a piss missile.
Bar down snipe.
Right off the face off. Love that. And real quick, man, to deviate, we need to go back to the Utah game because we didn't even talk. I think I brought it up briefly about some goaltender interference, but look.
Oh my God.
We need to talk about that. I do not know what goaltender interference is. I've seen goalies get ran and the puck trickles in and it counts. I've seen goalies get touched and it doesn't count. I have no idea on the end of like goalie interference like Rempe got where he was in the crease. There was a little bit of contact.
He was halfway in the crease.
I'm trying to see this as non-biased as possible the way I saw it. And I mean, you got to, the guy's got what size? Probably 18, 15 skates. I mean, who knows? But he was in the crease a little bit, but and they made just the slightest little
their jerseys
not
touched.
Even a bumperoo.
Their jerseys
touched, and then they both back off, and Utah's goalie gets set, and then the shot comes in. That's the way I saw it. I don't know how you call that goaltender interference, and I'll let you. I know you want to reference the Bruins and.
Yeah, like
Panthers.
last year in the playoffs, the Bruins and Panthers, Sam Bennett, I can't remember which player it was that he knocked into their own goalie, but Sam Bennett just blatantly pushes dude into the goalie. The goalie gets completely knocked off balance, and that's not goaltender interference. But Matt Rempe is doing a close screen, and they call it goaltender interference. Yeah. And then the Will Cooley one.
Will Cooley, and I can't remember what player it was for Utah.
Who cares?
But Will Cooley and the Mennonite, or the Mormon,
the polygamist,
they both were trying to play the puck. And the goalie was halfway to the fucking blue line. Mm-hmm. And I've seen goalies get hammered in that situation. I don't know. Once the goalie comes out, you have the right to play the puck still. And I think if anything, you probably give the goalie a penalty for interfering with the play.
And their goalie did get a penalty previously in the game. Remember, he went around the back of the net and
that's right. Yeah.
He held him. He stopped him.
He held Kreider.
Kreider was.
I was actually eating dinner and I was watching that on my phone. I thought, you know how it is. Everyone looks like ants on your phone.
Yeah.
I thought for ants.
ants.
I thought Kreider got the penalty, and then I watched. I was like, no, he he tried to bear hug Kreider.
Yeah, he definitely broke the play up, but that's a penalty that's a good penalty to take on their part.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I just don't. That's my stance. If someone in the comments, someone wants to DM any referees out here watching, can explain it, because I don't think the NHL knows. And of course, Wes McCauley, he's got to make it all about him. Like, I get it, man. The 10 for 5 for fighting, that shit's funny enough, but it's kind of played, and I'd feel better about it if he reffed better.
And I want to say this, like, the officiating in that game, I'm not going to say it was
not the difference.
Yeah, I'm not going to
say that outright.
Well, I want to say that it's not that, they put their whistles away. There was a lot of calls that got missed in the first period alone, probably 5 different instances where I could be like, why is that not a penalty? However, after that first period, when the New York Rangers go back to their locker room, why are they not talking about, hey guys, the refs are putting their whistles away, they're letting us play, so adjust accordingly. And they didn't. They didn't adjust accordingly. They just kept on trying to get like stretch penalties, and it ended up costing them a game, in my opinion.
They did a little bit of that against Florida in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, where I'm not going to call Florida a dirty team. I'm not there. But Florida, like Trouba, like certain guys in the leagues, like some teams, I mean, there's the line, and then maybe you tip over it a little bit. Guys like Bennett, guys like Kachuk, definitely Nick Cousins. Fuck him, he's a rat. But you got guys that tiptoe over the line, but it's because they refuse to lose, or that will to win. It's like they're gonna take a chance. This might get called as a penalty, but if I can get away with it, and I think the Rangers can muck it up at times, but there's also times they get caught with teams that are gonna maybe bend the rules a little, and the Rangers stay a little too traditional. And I would have liked to see them do a little bit more of that against Utah, where I think Utah saw that they were getting away with shit, and the Rangers didn't. One team acknowledged it, one team didn't. I think
that's what I'm saying. They saw that they saw that the refs put their whistles away.
Yeah.
And they acted accordingly. They said, they're not going to call it, we might as well try it. And the Rangers did not do that. So, the officiating wasn't bad enough. I like when the refs put their whistles away. I like that.
I do too.
I think it's fun. It's a much more exciting, fun game to watch when they're not calling every little thing. So that's on the Rangers. Let's get back to Detroit. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the Detroit game?
No, I mean, despite the final score, I thought Detroit looked pretty good.
Yeah, they looked good.
I think they're on the fringe of being a playoff team this year. So, and I like Detroit, so I'd like to see that for them. But I don't really have too many more thoughts. I mean, I like to see the guys staying hot, like I mentioned earlier. And we're playing Detroit again on Thursday.
Yep, back to back.
So we'll get a kind of like a double dose. It's not quite a home and home because both games are at home for the Rangers. Where a true home and home would be you play at home and then you play there. And actually, a fun little note: the next 3 Ranger games are all against original 6 teams. Technically 4 because you have 2 against Detroit, and then you have Saturday against Toronto, and then the next game I want to say is like a Monday or Tuesday against Montreal. So some old school hockey there for the 06 crowd.
All right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what our opinions are on the line combinations, and I know it's a small sample size, only 3 games. Preseason didn't mean anything, but now that we're in the regular season, the games mean something. So we're going to just kind of go line by line, and then we'll go defense pair by defense pair, and kind of give them a review, and just let you guys know what we think about how they've looked thus far into the season. So the first line, we got Mika, Smith, Kreider. So you got the Lovebirds and Smith. How do you think Smith is meshing into this?
I think he's fitting right in. Kreider's doing his thing, scoring goals. Mika's starting to heat up a little bit. Smitty looks good. He's not necessarily jumping off the ice. He's not grabbing your eyes, but it's early. I think as long as he can be consistent and contributor, the first line should be fine. It's funny. Everyone puts emphasis on who's going to be the third guy. It's really on the Lovebirds. It's really on Mika and Kreider to get that shit together. They're the elder statesmen of the room, of the team. They've been around the longest. It's really on them. But Smitty's been a good ad. It's good to see him get one the other night, and hopefully he can keep that going.
Yeah, Smith is fast.
Fast.
He brings a lot of speed to that first line, and I'm not gonna. Kreider has been looking like a bullet out there. It's at least a couple times every game I see Kreider flying.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't remember him. I know he's fast, but he just the style he skates looks more powerful than fast. But he's fast.
He's ran a couple people over too, where I've been one to criticize Kreider at times for maybe not being physical enough at times. He's ran a couple people over, and it's not been like big explosive hits. It's been just kind of like fuck you hits, like get out of my way type. And I like to see that little bit of I call it bully ball, even though it's hockey. But I like to see a little bit of bully ball every once in a while.
Yeah, and talking about Chris Kreider, ever since Joe Pavelski retired from Dallas Stars, I always argue that Chris Kreider is #1 top dog in the league when it comes to net front presence and specifically redirects and tip-in goals. And Chris Kreider, being Chris Kreider, gets a beauty deflection goal against Detroit, and it's just Chris Kreider doing Chris Kreider things. Yes. He's easily one of my favorite players on the Rangers, and I love to see every single one excites me just as much as the last one when it's a redirect.
Yeah,
I love seeing it.
We do like those garbage goals, like tip-ins.
Oh man, I love a good old garbage goal. So Mika, slow start, starting to find his way a little bit. Smith looking pretty decent. We still got to see how that goes, see if they can build more chemistry. And Kreider being Chris Kreider. So that's our first line. Second line, which is actually our first line, because they've actually started a few of the games like the first line.
Yeah.
So
when even the third line started against Detroit, we'll get to that, but the third line was getting the Dylan Larkin line. So I thought that was interesting.
We probably don't have to delve too deep into second line, because the second line looks like they picked up right where they left off. Just Breadman getting 3 multiple point games for the first 3 games. I saw somebody post something that said he's on pace for like 200 and something points this season. Like, I mean, he is on pace for that. Like, pace. But
I think it's a 7-way tie right now, or it's 7 points, but it's like, I think it might even be a 7-way tie for like first place in points right now with like a bunch of guys. So it's good to see Panarin start hot. Trocheck's our guy. He hasn't been bad. I'm not saying that. He's been a little clunky at times. I think he's still maybe waking up, finding his game.
Yeah.
But and I expect a good season out of him. I think he'll find it. But the second lines looked really good. Kind of like Stefan said, picked up where they left off last year. And they've been rolling, man. And Lafreniere's got a point in each game. Hopefully he keeps that up, man. I think a lot of us are on the Lafreniere train. Want that thing to, want him to keep going up like he has been last year or so. So, yeah, Lafs looked really good. Man,
you can call it a hot take if you want, but I got Lafreniere for 45v5 goals this season. And he just seems to be that kind of monster right now. He's arrived, and
he's here. Yeah,
he's here, and he's not effing around. And Laviolette doesn't want to put him on the power play, which we should probably talk about the power play too. But let's finish talking about our line reviews. So yeah, Trocheck a little bit of a slow start, but I think he'll find his way in time. So third line, what do you think about them?
I love the third line.
Love them.
It's well documented. I'm not the biggest Kakko fan, but I think he's looked really good. I think he's gotten a lot of chances. Eventually some of them have to go in. Will Cooley,
dog.
Said this complete dog.
Dog.
I mean, that's my dude. He reminds me. He's a little bigger, but he reminds me of Brandon Dubinsky back in the day. Just feisty, in your face. Has some offense to his game, and just a good teammate. So sky's the limit really for Will Cooley. Really interested to see where he goes the next couple of years. And then Heedle's looked good. Games 1 and 3, I want to say, were his best. But yeah, he's looked really good. It's great to see him back out there. And I think I echo every Ranger fan when I say this. I think, the main thing with him is staying healthy, and hopefully we can keep his ass on the ice.
Yeah. I love the third line. Each guy has their role, and as long as they stay in position with their roles, this third line is going to produce. They might be one of the best third lines in the league if they can stick to the script. You got Filipino, who is fast as fuck, boy.
Just a water bug.
Yeah, no, he's fast as shit, and he's a playmaker. He's a shooter. You got Capo Caco, who's a possession type guy. Maybe not the best playmaker, but he is a possession guy. He'll get it into their zone.
Yeah.
And then you got Will Cooley, who's just a grinder. He will grind you down. And those three being on a combination on that line, it just makes for a dangerous third line. And there's nothing else I can ask for from them right now. I love to see that.
Well, yeah, and like I was alluding to earlier, the third line has been getting starts. Like they started, I think, all 3 periods against Detroit. Someone could tell me if I'm wrong, but at least they started a couple of them. And they were going up against the Dylan Larkin line. And that's a good line. Dylan Larkin's a great player. Detroit has a lot of firepower. And that's a big assignment. When you have a line like the first line with guys like Mika and Kreider that do play some defense, to put younger guys up there and give them the reps and then try to free up Kreider and Mika to maybe not draw all the big assignments defensively all the time. So the third line's been great. The difference sometimes between good playoff teams and eventual champions a lot of times is that depth. And right now between the third line and the log jam on the fourth line, the Rangers have depth.
Yeah, for sure. So they're earning their ice time, and Laviolette seems to be giving them a decent amount of it. So fourth line, that's the only line that had any switch ups. And in game 2, they took Brodzinski out for
Rempe, yeah.
For Rempe. And I don't want to hear from any of you Rempe haters. Like, you think that Johnny Brodzinski not being in the lineup is the reason that we lost to Utah? Shut the hell up. That's not how it was. Matt Rempe being out there was not the reason that they lost to Utah. So just get that out of here. I'll get that out right now. So
look, I'm just gonna say it, man. If you have a chance to watch a fourth line that's fun or a fourth line that's dependable, but maybe one can be both. Like, Johnny Brodzinski, we know what we get. There's literally no pizzazz. He is kind of a vanilla sandwich. Then you get Rempe, like there's an energy, there's a vibe. I understand he didn't get a lot of ice time the other night. The Rangers are chasing the game. You don't put Rempe out there to, score. He lost a line mate, so his kind of role was diminished in that game. But Laviolette's been pretty honest about it for somewhat. That guys are going to come in and out of the lineup a little bit. You got VC coming back eventually.
Yeah,
he's going to bump someone, you'd think. So, but yeah, I'm on the Rempe crowd, not just for the spectacle, but just because I think he brings more to the lineup than a guy like Brodzinski. You know what you get with Brodzinski, but that's the problem. You know what you get with Rempe. There's still that mystery, and Brodzinski honestly is not going to bear down on defenders and make them scared. So you get that element with Rempe, and plus we like calling it the Twin Towers. There's no nickname with Brodzinski.
Brodzinski is the hostess bat from the old Hostess commercials. Whoever has the puck is that big ass truck or whatever it is that the bat flies into. Matt Rempe is the truck. So, I mean, nobody's gonna think twice when Brodzinski's out there. Like when we dump and chase, their defenders get it. They're not looking over their shoulders for somebody like Brodzinski to come send them into the ionosphere.
Well, and another thing from a developmental standpoint, you got a guy like Brodzinski who's been in the AHL, NHL kind of swingman his whole career. He's 30, 31 years old. That's who he is. Rempe's young, man. You go with him. You give the young guy the reps and see what you have. And if it's not working, then you put Brodzinski in.
Sure. So Sam Carrick, I think he's been a pretty good fit so far. I'm curious to see who they do bump when VC comes back. Is it going to be Brodzinski? Is it going to be Rempe? I'm I'm fairly confident that Edstrom is going to stay in the lineup. Edstrom's looked really good.
Eddie.
I can't really say that he's had any like super mess ups or big mistakes or anything like that. And he has a goal, right? Edstrom, does he have a goal in the regular season yet? No, he doesn't. He's come close a few times, but as soon as VC's healthy again, I'm very curious to see who's going to get bumped, who's going to be scratched, and who's going to be in the lineup.
When this conversation is kind of reminding me of another thing that Ranger fans are worried about or concerned with right now is when Lindgren comes back.
Oh yeah.
Who's coming out?
We're about to get to that too.
Who do you take out? I've been listening to a couple different shows that have been out lately, and it feels like the pulse of Ranger Nation, and I'm kind of getting swept up in it too. Is we all love Ryan Lindgren. We all respect Ryan Lindgren and what he's done for the team over the years. But like, I kind of want to see where things go. It's almost like you want him to come back, but at the same time, you're like kind of enjoying the ride. So and it's a weird place to be because I even feel shitty saying that because I like Lindgren. He's he's blood, sweat, and tears kind of guy. And he's going to get back into the lineup.
Yeah.
So
they're not going to put him on the bench for $4 million a year.
Yeah, you let Mancini go down, get some more seasoning, and hopefully, Mancini can be the shit the next year or so.
Or even just make him the 13th D or 13th D. What am I, an idiot? Make him the 7th D. What's that going to hurt? I mean, he might not play all the time, but next time that one of our defensemen gets a little ankle sprain or needs a couple days rest or they're healing for something small.
You're saying make Lindgren the 7th?
No, did I say Lindgren?
No, I thought if that's what you said, I was like, that is a flaming hot take.
I meant whatever. I don't know what I just said.
No, you didn't say that. I thought.
But what I'm saying is Mancini.
Yeah.
Because he's the clear cut winner for who's coming out of the lineup for Lindgren.
I disagree with Mancini being the 7th. I think you either leave him in the lineup, which I don't know how you do once Lindgren comes back, or you let him play in the AHL. You got guys like
who do you want, Ruedel?
I don't want Ruedel, but I'd rather Ruedel sit in a press box and not play than a guy like Mancini. I'd rather Mancini either be playing, whether it's with the big club or with the Wolfpack.
But that means that if any defenseman on our team gets injured, we're going to be stuck with Ruedel instead of Mancini coming right back into the lineup. And these defensemen, we don't have a super huge defensive core. So these guys, they're injury prone. They get hurt for a game or two here and there. I mean, I feel like having Mancini as the 7th D, he'd still get. What did Zach Jones get? Like, he played 30 games last year, and he was the 7th D, and he still got 30 something games in the season.
And it's not like they're sitting ice cold. I mean, they're practicing with the club. They're getting reps, so it's not like they're not doing anything. I can see it. I'm not going to die on that hill.
I will die on that hill.
I like. I just think you play the kid, whether it's in the big club or down in the A.
Ideally, it's weird because I don't want Jones to come out of the lineup. I'd rather see Jones in there than Lindgren, and that might be a hot take. I love Lindgren as a player, but I don't know. Fox seems to be doing good without him right now. He's a high paid player, but it's a results industry. I'd rather have better results than whoever's paid the highest.
Well, I think part of the deal with Lindgren, and I'm still a big Lindgren fan, but I think part of the deal is, people are kind of getting tired of the shtick. You go in there, but you're getting hurt all the time. We can't necessarily rely on you to be there all the time. And I'll be honest, I've never been in love with the Lindgren Fox pairing.
No.
I think you want more size with Fox, who's like an undersized, kind of more mobile puck mover. Not that Trouba's the guy because he's been playing kind of herky-jerky the last couple of years. But, I've never been in love with that pair. And I think Ranger fans are now seeing the light, seeing a different way. We're seeing Fox and Miller. We're seeing different groups. And some people are reluctant to go back to the same old.
Yeah. All right, so Adam Fox report card. What do you think about Adam Fox so far? And he's been paired with what, Miller?
He's been with Miller most of the time. I don't know. It's early.
So the Fox Miller pair. What do you think? So I know we gave everyone else a little.
I give him a B+. I mean, he's been good. There's been nothing to make me give them a bad grade, but at the same time, they haven't jumped off the page.
So B+ for the pair.
B+.
Okay, so I'll go with that. It's hard to give him a grade. I don't even know why I brought grades into this, but yeah, so far I'm not complaining about the Miller Fox combination. I think they've looked good. I think Fox has been trying to be a little bit cute with it. Some things have been backfiring on him a little bit. Maybe it's just that he's, knocking some of the dust off from the summer. Hopefully he'll be able to do all that cute stuff and actually get away with it again. But yeah, no serious complaints. I think that they look just fine. Then we got Trouba and Jones. Jones is out there with Mancini, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been mixing it up a little bit. We've seen a lot of like Schneider and Trouba, and then Mancini and Jones.
I think Schneider's looked real good.
Schneider's look good. Snyder is low key becoming one of my favorites. He's just so dependable.
Rob Schneider.
Schneider. Yeah, man, big Schneider fan.
You see his fat lip?
Yeah.
We were looking at him the other day. We were talking about how Lieutenant Dan told him to tuck his lip in because he's gonna catch a tripwire. He got his lip busted. It was fat, man.
Did you see what happened or what caused that?
I didn't see it. All I seen was him with a huge fat lip, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, probably caught a stick or something.
A stick or a puck or something, but something got him good. It was a big old lip.
But yeah, they've been good, and then Jones and Mancini have been really good. I think there was one play in particular against Utah where they kind of got turned around a little bit, but other than that, they've looked really good. And they're both young guys, so they'll get it figured out.
You saw last night where Mancini absolutely undressed the dude. He
did.
Skates up and he just cuts in.
Man, I was hoping that would go.
And he got a clean shot off. It was him against the goalie. I mean, the goalie had position, but
yeah,
their defender was probably like, "Oh man, who's this?" Like he didn't know who he was. Oh, I got this. And nope. He showed him up. He showed him who was boss on that play. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the defensive and the forward line combinations.
Yeah, I would say so. We're 3 games in. The boys have looked good. Hasn't all been good, but it's for the most part. You're happy with what you're getting, and moving forward, let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the guys who have been hot and rolling, man.
Yeah, so we are 2-0-1. Every game we've played, we've collected at least 1 point. Overall, from the small sample size we've had, I like what I see. Is it perfect? No. Is it good? Yes. I'm excited to see where they take it from here. So I don't really have anything else. I think we covered pretty much everything that's happened up to this point. It's refreshing that we're not having to pull shit out of nowhere like we were in the whole off season, being like crazy hot takes. And
yeah, there's no off season garbage pail.
Yeah.
We did have a question from a listener and someone that's been commenting and writing. So what do you got, Stefan?
So we wanna shout out Matt Bagani. I think the young fella's Italian or something, but nah.
Matt Bugatti.
But Bagani.
Bikini.
Nah, so he wants to hear our top 3 teams that we expect to exceed expectations. We did think about this a little bit. We're gonna switch it up a little. We're gonna give you 2 teams apiece that we think will exceed expectations, and then we'll give you each 1 team that we think will kind of be a letdown when it comes to the expectations. I'll go first. My first team is Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, I don't think they're going to be a great team by any means. Don't get me wrong. However, I do think that with what happened over the summer, with them losing Goodrow, I do think that they will try to play in his honor and play a little bit better than expected. I'm not even going to say that they're definitely not going to make playoffs in my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go 7th instead of 8th in the division. And who they might get in front of, I don't even know. But I'd like to see that. I hope I see that. So that's my first one for who I think will at least exceed expectations in some manner. Who's your first?
We'll stick with Utah for me. I think they will exceed expectations, being as they're basically the Coyotes in a new uniform, new city. I think that brings a lot of new energy, good vibes, and you saw that on the ice, man. Those guys were buzzing around. It's a young squad. They got some really good players. That kid Dylan Gunther, who the hell is he? He's really good.
He's a fucking stud.
I mean, so he's got what 5 or 6 goals already.
Got one on us.
Yeah. So so they're my pick, or at least one of them, for a team that I think will exceed expectations.
All right. Next, I'm gonna go with the San Jose Sharks. You know, similar deal to with Columbus. I don't think they're gonna be a great team. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs. But they got a lot of young talent. They just got Celebrini. They've had Zetterlund. He's a dog. They just got players that have a lot of upside. So I would not be surprised to see them, step up a few notches in the standings this year.
Plus, they got Barclay Gretzky.
Oh yeah, and they got Barclay Gretzky, but he's only going to be good in the playoffs. Actually, I take that back. He did contribute in their first game, which they blew a 3-goal lead. But he did produce in that game.
I think he'll be a good player for them. I liked Barclay. It's just he was just getting paid too much for us and for the situation.
I hope Barclay does good. I hope he's a good fit with them. I'm rooting for the guy. I always like Barclay Goodrow.
Yeah, same.
So
a second team I think can exceed is Washington. I've mentioned them in some of the previous episodes, and it has nothing to do with our locale, being here in Virginia. I'm not trying to tug off any Washington fans, but at the same time, they brought in guys like Pierre-Luc Dubois. They brought in Jacob Chikrin. That was a big ad. They got Dylan Strome, Sonny Milano. So there's a lot of pieces there. I think they'll be better than they were last year, and I think they'll surprise a couple folks.
Okay. So now we're gonna flip the script, and we're gonna give you guys one team that we think will underperform or under exceed expectations. And ironically, I think Matt is actually a Canes fan. So I'm not throwing shade by any means, but I think the Canes may take a slight step back. They've been good for a while. They've been good, really good for a while now, and they've made some roster some roster changes. I think that their roster this year is not as good as their roster was last year. They got rid of Shea. They got rid of some of their big guys, and they didn't keep Gensel, and with the Devils making all the moves they've made, I just see the Canes kind of taking a step back and maybe not reaching the level that the fans are going to expect and have been used to over the years. So that's my under expectation team.
Mine, and this may be a hot take for some folks because this is a team that went all in.
It is
during the off season and really brought in some big fish. But I have Nashville. I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong and they have a great season. But at the same time, I think they will let a couple people down. I just see the proof in the pudding. Sometimes with teams that bring in a lot of older players or a lot of big names from other teams, it doesn't always work the same way. Being a Rangers fan, God knows I've seen the Rangers do that a ton. Bringing guys that were good somewhere else or over the hill or maybe a little past their prime. And it just doesn't always work out. They went all in, on guys like Stammer, Marchessault. I know I'm forgetting some. Brady Shea from the Canes. And those all on paper are good ads, but I can just see it's, I could see a world where that falls apart and doesn't work out for them. And they've already kind of started off a little slow. That's a team, like I said, I'm not betting on it, not putting money on Nashville being bad, but I think they could let a couple folks down this year.
And I would be one of those folks because I'm pretty bullish on Nashville. Just the names they did add. It's hard to think about. Well, what if they don't mesh?
Yeah,
because it's a bunch of veteran players. They just added like
a bunch of winners,
like 4 Stanley Cups to their roster. Like
yeah.
So. Yeah, if they don't exceed expectations and they fall a little bit short, I'll be very surprised at that. So that's gonna really do it for us for today. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. We've been rambling along, ramble on, or whatever.
Yeah, we've been rambling, so we'll cut you guys loose. We don't have any musical feature or anything this week. Next episode, we're hoping to have not only a feature, we're gonna play a music video at the end, but two of the guys from Bend the Knee, which is a metal band from Virginia. They're kind of spread out, so it's hard to say where they're from. I guess Fredericksburg. They can probably tell us better where they call home. But good band. They have a new EP coming out, and they have a music video for a song called Betrayed, and we'll play that at the end. But a couple of the guys are gonna join us in studio, talk some hockey, talk some music, and talk some shit because frankly, it's gonna happen. One of them is a Penguins fan, and the other is a true blue from New York Islanders fan who goes, "Yo, bro, come on, yo, bro," all the time.
And he uses the word "mad."
Yo, man, bro.
That's mad cool, like, you know.
So that'll be fun. Stick around for the next episode. We're hoping to line that up.
It'll be fun.
And yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll ask them some questions and learn a lot about their project and hopefully hear some good banter. So that's it. Like Stefan said at the beginning, please like, subscribe, comment, tell some people about it, not just Ranger fans, hockey fans, fans of hardcore, fans of music. We want it all. We want to be, a hub for people that are kind of, don't want things so straight laced and clean cut. We want some fucking curse words and some hockey and some music. So we're going to mix it up and try to do something special for you guys. And all the support's really appreciated.
Yeah, and if you have a question you want two irrelevant hooligans to answer about hockey or the Rangers or just anything really in general with the NHL, if you want to hear some hot takes or some pieces from us, feel free to leave a question or message one of us or leave it in a comment and we'll try to read it out for you. But other than that, I don't have anything. He said it all. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, do all that good stuff because it helps the algorithm. And with that being said, I got nothing else. Do you?
No.
Forever hold your peace.
Until next time.
All right, take care, guys.